Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Informative Talk Show. I'm Cap,
I'm
I'm
Puppy.
Miss B. I'm Miss B.
and today's topic is going to be jobs, and how to get them. Now, first, we're going to explain the difference between a job and a career.
Isn't a career like what you're gonna do for your entire life, and a job is just something short term to make money? Is that what that
Yes.
is?
Yes.
Basically, but a career is also something you enjoy doing.
Mm-hmm.
You want to
Oh,
try to
okay.
make the career you do something you enjoy.
You want to make it seem like it's a life term. You want to do it for the rest of your life. That's a career. A
So
job is just something.
A
I'm
job is
sorry.
temporary.
Yeah,
how I want to go into veterinary medicine for the rest of my life.
that's a
That would be
career.
considered a career.
Okay.
But at the same time, it can be considered a job when you first start out.
Yeah,
That makes a lot of sense because when you first start out, you don't know if you want to make it into your career yet. You have to spend some time in it first, right?
Yeah, correct.
yes.
Okay. Now, how would I go about getting one of these careers? Okay, so I
First,
already have the certification to do it. I just don't know how to go and get the job.
first of all, you have to make sure that the place you're trying to go to is hiring.
And how
Yes.
would one do
If
that?
you would either look at for a sign on somewhere that says they're hiring. You could go on the internet to see if who's hiring, or you could go by word of mouth from a friend.
Exactly.
Could you could you walk inside a place and ask?
Yes, you could also ask if that place was hiring if there's no obvious sign.
Okay. And then what if they have a position open but it's not a position I have qualifications for?
Then, unfortunately, you will not be able to get that job
Okay.
because a job you need if it requires a qualification, you need that qualification in order to get the job.
Okay. So, need my qualifications, but then to be hired, don't I need to first apply? How would I go about what's the process of applying look like?
First, you can do it one of two ways depending on the place. You can get a paper version of a questionnaire, or you can answer the questions online.
To
You
apply?
also yes, it'll ask stuff like um let's see. It'll say it could say something like Joe gets in a fight with Judy. How do you defuse the situation? And then you would
Okay.
answer A, B, C, or D, depending on the correct answer. It could also be you someone asks you where a certain item is, but you're not sure. What do you do?
Okay,
And
but
that could be an open-ended question.
what if the doesn't applying also include having an interview and a resume and stuff?
Yes, what you do is if the questionnaire is good, then you um, bring your resume with you to the interview, or you drop it off. It's usually better to drop it off so that the interviewer can read over it first before they interview you, and then you go in. You schedule the day for the interview. This is a big thing. You need to dress good. If
That's
they say
great.
business, if they say business casual is fine. If they
Yes.
say suit and tie, wear a suit and tie. They will usually tell you the dress code for how they want you to look at the interview. If they don't, assume suit and tie.
Yeah.
So, but like you can't dress too fancy, right?
Right.
No, you can't. Don't. Yeah, that's another thing. Don't overdo it.
Yeah, exactly. Don't go
So if
to an
not-
interview. Sorry, puppy.
No, you
Don't go
finish.
to an interview. Don't go to an interview dressed in an evening gown.
So, like, dress like business style for an
Yes.
interview.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes.
And when you get to the interview, you look the interviewer straight in the eyes, and you shake their hand firmly to start. And then you only sit when they say sit.
Yes.
You wait for them to tell you can sit.
Sorry, I'm taking notes
And-
because I need to learn this to get a job.
And then they'll
Is it
ask you
possible-
questions. I'm sorry.
Sorry, I was gonna ask if it was possible to do a practice interview with friends, so maybe you're not quite as anxious.
Yes, you can do that if the friend knows the questions that the interviewer will ask.
But aren't interviews spontaneous questions?
Not always. Sometimes they're specific to the job you're trying to get. Say you're trying to get a stocker at a store. And one of the questions could be, you ran out of this item. What do you do?
I would restock it.
No, I mean, you're restocking and you run out of the item.
Go to the back and get more of the item?
Yes, that's a perfect answer. Another
Mhm.
question, and this
Okay.
one I've gotten on multiple interviews, because I've done multiple interviews myself, is describe yourself in 3 words.
Fun. That's a great question. That's totally not a trap.
Yeah. And then another question would be, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What they're looking for in that question is what strengths you have for the position you're applying for, and what weaknesses you have in the position you're applying for.
And you can't just say no weaknesses, right? Because they'll like tell you're lying because
No.
everybody has weaknesses.
Everyone has a weakness somehow. You
Yes.
need to list at least 2.
Yeah.
What if you're not sure of what weaknesses you have? If it's like your first time getting a job.
Then you mention that. You can
You
can say, I'm not sure. It's okay in every interview to say I'm unsure. No,
How do you-
matter the question.
Isn't a big part of getting a job all about salary? How would you bring that up in the process of getting a job to like know how much you're getting paid?
What you do is when you're applying, you can either put the amount you're expecting to get, or you can put what's called open, which means you'll discuss the price at the interview. If you put a certain price, you'll still discuss it,
Hmm.
but don't expect the interviewer to say, "Oh, we'll give you this much,"
Right.
especially if it's a large amount.
They're also going to do what's called a background check.
I hate those.
How does
Yeah.
a background check happen?
They
They
want to
do it
see.
online,
Yeah.
and what it is basically, do you have any wrecks? Do you have any jail time? Do you have any tickets?
What
Yeah.
if you don't have any of
Okay.
those things or any other online
Then you
presence? Really?
then you pass the background check.
Yes.
What happens if you do have those things?
Then depending on how severe it is, they may not hire you. Like if
Right.
So is it
say someone has a felony and it was armed robbery, they will not hire you because you threatened somebody with a weapon to rob them.
Yep.
so is it harder to get a job as someone who's had a felony before?
Yes, it can be done, but it is hard.
It is
That
very
seems
hard.
that seems unfair for people who actually did go to prison and then changed.
It is unfair, and there is actually a discrimination law against that.
Yeah.
So they have to take into account, okay, so this person has a felony or has been in prison. What they do is they look at the severity of the crime.
Yep.
If it was a severe crime, that will prevent them from hiring. If it was minor, they'll more than likely hire you.
And they will
Okay.
check. They will check to see if you've done drugs.
Yes, you do a drug test.
Yep.
How long should I wait after applying to before applying to a different place?
2 weeks.
Yep.
And what
It
you
takes
do
about.
is before you apply for another place, call the place that you applied originally and see if they've even looked at your resume.
Okay, so you shouldn't be like applying to a bunch of places at once.
You can do that.
Yeah.
But just be
But then-
prepared for one to say sure, we'll hire you. Then you'll have to call the other places and go, I found a job.
Yep.
What if multiple places say, "Sure, we'll hire you." Then do you get to like pick which one you want the most?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
What if one place says, "Sure, we'll hire you," and you have scheduled interviews for the other places? Could you still go to those interviews and see if they'll also hire you to then see if, oh, will I get a good job, a better
You
job in like
could
these
do
other
that.
interviews?
You could do that as long as you don't schedule an interview more than one interview at a time.
Yeah.
Schedule them on multiple days. Don't do them all at once.
Okay.
Yeah. If you're gonna schedule an interview, do not schedule 6 interviews at one time in one day.
What if you're applying for multiple jobs, you get accepted into a couple of them, and you choose to, and like you're applying for part-time positions, could you then take on both jobs in different part-time positions?
You could, as long as the days that you do each job do not counteract with each other.
Which would be something to work out with scheduling afterwards.
Yes.
You would work out with scheduling. Basically, let's say you have one job where you go Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Then you would have to go Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, or Tuesday, Thursday, whatever, if they don't go on weekends, for the other job, so that you're not going multiple
Now I have another question.
days. Yeah.
Would saying I got accepted into multiple jobs, would it then take someone who said, "We'll accept you into our job," and then would they say, "Actually, never mind, we don't want you because we only want you doing one job"?
Never tell a company you have a job.
Never. That right
Because
there is a big no-no.
if you do that, they will not hire you.
Exactly.
Can't hear you, puppy.
I'm writing, sorry.
You're fine.
So never tell anybody I have a job.
Right.
Yeah. If
Okay.
you already have a job, don't tell another company.
Right.
So what about if you don't have a reliable method of transportation to get to a job? What could you do then?
You would talk with the interviewer, because that is who is going to help coordinate everything.
Yep.
And you could work out where some companies will pay for a taxi, some won't, where you could ride a taxi to your job.
Yes.
Okay.
Any kind of transportation can get you to your job, whether it be a neighbor, a friend, a taxi, Uber, whatever.
But what if you're
Those
paying
last
for like
three cost money.
transportation? What if using paid transportation makes it so that I'm at a net loss with my salary?
Then you need to find another method of transportation,
Yes.
whether it be a family friend, a friend you know, a family member, or a bike.
I don't know how to ride a bike.
Then that's out of option.
Yeah.
And my dad, he works till 5, so I couldn't ask him to drive me.
Yeah.
So I guess you'd have to
find
then
someone
pick
else.
places close enough to walk to.
Yes, you can do that, and it's actually preferable if you don't have a mode of transportation.
Okay. So we talked briefly. We mentioned resumes earlier, like for interviews or whatever. But what about a cover letter? Are those necessary?
Yes.
Yes, they are.
And what would you put in a cover letter typically?
You would put something along the lines of why you want the not why you want the job, but what job you're applying for.
Yep.
Your name. You would put why you think you would be better than person A or person B. You want to keep it short though, one paragraph.
And how is it like different than a resume?
A resume gives more detail, such as it'll explain your skills, it'll explain different awards you've gotten.
Mm-hmm.
It will
And
explain,
certifications?
or awards, little awards.
Mm-hmm.
You could also list your strengths and your weaknesses in the resume.
Like how I can speak Spanish.
You would list that because on some resumes it asks what languages you can speak.
Okay, and then what about references? How do you get references, and then where do you put them? You put them in your resume, right?
Yes, you put them in
Yes.
your resume, and you also put them on the application form. However, do not ever use family as a reference.
Exactly.
Always
That's
use
what-
somebody outside family.
Yes.
But who is good to use as a reference?
And depending on, it depends really. You want someone who will say positive things about you.
Right.
If you had another job that you quit, you can use your previous boss. However, before you write the reference down, you need to get permission from the person to be used as a reference. Don't just
Right.
assume, oh, I can use this person.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
and
mean-
do references have to like pertain to what job you're applying to?
No, they do not. It just has to be. It's usually 3 people, and it just has to be 3 people that'll say good things about you.
Yes.
What were you gonna say, Miss B?
Yeah, you cannot add a family member. It can be a family friend or one of your friends who will speak highly of you. You don't want somebody that's going to talk mess about you, say that you've done a crappy job. You don't want that. You don't want that
Why-
in your.
Why can't it be a family member?
Because the family member is gonna say nothing but positive things about you.
Exactly.
So you need someone who lists your strengths and weaknesses as well, who says the pros and the cons,
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
but explains how the pros outvalue the cons.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was going to say, Cap is family to me. I can't use him because he's family to me. He's my family. So when I'm writing stuff down like that, when I'm giving my references, I can't put him down because he's family.
So like really, really close friends also count as family.
Not
I couldn't use-
necessarily.
Not exactly.
I couldn't
Unless
use my
you consider-
fiance.
No, you could not use your fiance
No.
because you are engaged to them.
Yes.
But what if my fiance would also list off the cons?
It does not matter. You are engaged to your fiance. That makes them family.
Yep.
You cannot use family.
Do you
Right.
have to like list whenever you're putting references, do you have to like put what they're from as well?
No, you just put their name and their
So
number.
then how would they know that my fiance is my fiance?
They wouldn't.
Okay.
It's just suggested that you don't use family because while they don't know up front, if they were to call your fiance, they would know immediately that their family because they would be listing the pros and the cons, more pros and cons than a typical person.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Do you guys want to maybe help me make a resume and we can also show everybody watching how to make a resume?
Sure, I can help with that. I've made plenty of resumes.
Okay. Let me
need to
share
see
my
how to
screen
share your
then.
Yeah.
I got it.
Okay.
So I'm using Word.
Yeah.
Load.
There should be a template you can use for resumes.
How do you decide which one is the best template?
How do you what?
How do you figure out which one is the best template to use? These all look really
You
different.
just pick one. You just pick one. It doesn't matter which one you pick. They're all they're not gonna look at how fancy the resume is. They're going to
Mhm.
look at how complete the resume is.
Exactly.
Oh, and that's another thing. On the resume and on the application form, leave nothing blank. Always
Exactly.
some kind of answer.
Okay. Sorry, my computer. I have a Chromebook.
Ah,
You're fine.
So up here, I would like put my name, right?
I can't see your picture.
You can't see.
No.
Oh, it said, please ensure you granted all necessary permission. Just share my entire screen. Yes.
I'm checking that now.
So sorry, everyone.
it's all right.
Okay. So I got my name up there. It's very hard to see. How do I fix that?
Yep.
Let's just make the text darker, I think. That'll work. Sure. Nope.
Oh man.
That works.
Okay. Can you see my
So-
screen?
Yeah.
So then here it said attorney, so I'm guessing that's where I put like
That's where you put what job you're wanting.
Okay.
Under
And then
contact,
here's, like-
you would put your under contact. You would put your information. So like your street, your phone number, your email.
Okay, I'm not gonna do that here because this is going on YouTube, and I don't want to dox myself.
Yeah.
So I'll just leave this as is. I can change that later.
This is education. What you do for that, you list your high school that you went to, you list where you went to college. If you went
I
to
haven't gone to
college,
college yet.
then you need to list your high school, and that's it. And you also list what year you graduated.
Yes.
Okay. I graduated in May of 2025. Okay.
The
And-
rest that can just be deleted.
Okay.
Key skills.
The rest of this can just
Basically, all right. The key skills, what you put there, is the skills that you have for the job you're applying for.
Mhm.
What if I have more skills than fit?
There is another area where you can put more skills. The key
My
skills
computer
is
decided
just
to freeze.
the key skills are just for what you are trying to do or the job you're trying to apply for.
Yep.
Okay, so like for veterinary assistant tree, then I could say I have proper animal restraint.
Yep.
And
You need to list as many as you can think of.
so proper animal restraint, can do breed identification. I can do instrument.
Were you taught how to give shots?
Yes. Shot
So
administration.
medication. It would be medication administration, not shot.
Well, there's a lot more than just shots, but I was taught how to give them all.
Yeah, you would put medication administration.
Bandaging, and how to remove bandages. Wound treatment. Etc. etc.
That's
I
pretty
need to
good
not
for your key skills. That's another thing. Make sure you go through and make sure that all your stuff is spelled correctly.
Why do you not like instrument? What? I spelled instrument correctly, right?
I can't see it. It looks like you did.
You can't see my screen?
I can see your screen, it's just tiny.
Oh, my bad.
Interests. Basically, for interests, you put things you like to do.
Yes.
Don't list more than 5, though.
Okay.
Yeah, you want to try not to list five.
Would I list things that generally fit into the job description?
You don't have to. It would help, but it's not necessary.
So I'm interested in animals. That is a great interest of mine. I enjoy reading, and I enjoy writing. What else do I enjoy? I don't want to put singing because I think that would be annoying, but I do enjoy art. That is something I enjoy. I think that's
you
about all I
enjoy
can
making podfics.
Well, that's part of reading.
Okay.
Isn't it?
It is.
So then we do profile. What would you put in profile?
You would put some skills or weaknesses, mainly skills, but you would do it in sentence form.
In sentence form.
Basically, you would say, as a animal. What is your job that you're trying to get? Veterinarian assistant?
I interned at a veterinary clinic in high school and got my certification in veterinary assistantry at the end of my senior year. Would that be something I'd list here?
Yes. You misspelled my.
Apparently I misspelled assistantry.
Apparently so.
Oh, apparently assistantry is not a word.
No, and apparently you have
I'm just gonna say
grammar issue.
Veterinary assistant certification. Oh, I got my certification as a veterinary assistant. That works. Thank you, Word. You're great. Hey, everybody, use Word. Not sponsored at all, unfortunately.
Don't use Google Docs.
Don't use Google Docs?
Don't use Google Docs.
Not if you're doing a resume.
What did Google Docs
do? You need the internet in order to use Google Docs.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you need to
like
list. It's not. You need at least 4 sentences.
So what else could I put? Because I feel like I've said what I need to say. Now it's like filler I'm putting
You
in.
could put some of the stuff you did as a veterinary assistant in school.
Okay. During my internship, I was able to what's the word when you're like watching something but like you're observing? Oh yeah, I was able to observe surgical procedures. During my internship, I was able to observe surgical procedures. I
That's a
was
good thing.
also a great help around every department at my clinic by cleaning cages. That doesn't feel right though.
It would be good because you're listing something you did at your job that was good.
I helped to clean the area every single day because I did more than just cleaning cages. I cleaned cages, I cleaned floors, I
Okay.
did the laundry, I cleaned the dishes.
Apparently, you
And
have a
then
grammar issue with internship. That was
and then
silly.
I and then I need to list like one weakness, right?
You don't have to because you can list that later.
Okay, but I still need a sentence. I helped clean the area every single day. I
What did you
boast
do at
always
closing time?
arriving before my shift and leaving afterwards.
I would put
After it was
instead
to
of
end.
arriving before my shift, I would arrive early for my shift.
And
And
leaving
change
after it.
arriving to arrive.
Okay. I boast always arriving early for my shift and leaving after it was to end. Because I did. I was
Yeah.
always there for
Change,
like at least 10 more
change
minutes.
arriving to arrive.
I boast always arrived.
I would get rid of both also. Just say I always arrived early for my shift.
Okay.
I know it doesn't seem right, but it's the best way to put it.
And left after it was to end. Or left after it ended. Would probably be better.
Yeah.
Left after my shift ended. Thank you, English class. Oh, no comma there. Okay.
Now, experience.
And then experience.
If you don't have any experience, you can leave it blank. Otherwise, you list everything you did in that
Okay.
for that job. Make sure it only applies to the job you're trying to get, though.
So I could list what I did in FFA. I could list my internship. And so what I did in FFA was I raised rabbits, which was a real challenge, but fun. And then I also did the certified veterinary. I did the, no, what's it called? I did the veterinary CVT. No, not that.
Yes, you
I
could
did
list that.
I did the veterinary competition, vet tech competition.
I would wait to put that as an award that you won if you won an award.
I mean, we did make it to state.
Then I would wait to put that.
Okay. And then I would also put my internship.
Yes.
But and then I also did pet sitting. I pet sit, so that's also part of the experience. But then there's no place for
Yeah.
me to list awards. Aren't resumes supposed to only be like one
There
page?
usually some or two, and there should be a place for awards. If there is not, you can list the thing that you were going to list under awards as a job. Another thing you need to do with this, each thing you did, you need to list when you started and when it ended.
Okay. I have a question. Where could I put my certifications? Because I have 42 certifications.
You could put that under the experience,
Under experience.
under under the chapter you're currently under.
Would it not go in key skills?
No, because it's not a key skill.
Well, it's a skill
It's
certification.
something. It's something that you got.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for helping me out on this.
You're welcome.
And
Just
thank you for helping
Just
everybody
make
else
sure-
watching.
Yeah, just make sure when you put under experience, when you put the thing you did, make sure you have the start year and the end year. You don't need the date. You just need what year you started and what year it ended.
Okay. Well, I really hope this helped out everybody else also in my situation where they're trying to find a job but don't quite know how to get about to doing it.
Yeah, that would definitely be helpful.
Thank you, everybody, for
Anyways,
tuning in.
Yep, and this has been the Informative Talk Show. I'm Cap.
I'm Puppy.
And I'm Miss B.
Have a nice day, and we will see you on the next episode.